this is where the rubber hits the road. So you're meeting a lot of people here today, and a lot of people are saying, great, I'm happy to connect with you, I'm happy to have a conversation with you, and then we're never gonna hear from them.
That's not true.
And that's probably what 90% of the people do. And what I love about these two ladies is that they walk the walk and they talk the talk. And it's super important to find people and to surround yourself with people that genuinely want to invest their time and their energy into you. And they build a community and they say what they're gonna do and then they follow through. And that's incredibly important. So I'm here with two women that absolutely epitomize that. They are entrepreneurs themselves. They're consultants. They have a mission for themselves and I'm gonna introduce them. So.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us today. Short intro on my side. So I was born and raised in Siberia, it's Eastern Russia. Then I moved to Moscow, studied finance. I managed 35 departments across the country. And then I moved to the United States in 2015. And from there, I built a career in enterprise sales. I was closing deals with Fortune 500 companies. After that, I joined a venture capital firm, figured out how all the things work there. Then I became a co-founder of a venture-backed company. We've raised, we scaled. Unfortunately, the war between Russia and Ukraine started, and this is where my co-founder was. But that didn't stop me, and I started building the community of impact-driven investors and entrepreneurs. And we were growing fast, and now I help fund managers and founders raise capital. So this is on my side.
And Lindsey Rubinstein, who, by the way, her dad is here, and he's probably my new favorite person on the planet. I just want to put him in my pocket and take him home. He's absolutely
Shout out to Roger and Eileen.
Yes, Roger and Eileen, they are fantastic.
Talking about community, I'll start before my introduction. How many, I know everybody's eating lunch, so enjoy and eat, and don't say anything if I ask you something. If you're chewing, please, no choking hazards. But how many of you came with somebody else? Yeah, like everybody. How many of you are 6 degrees from Richie? Yes, everybody. So when we think about community and the point of this panel, it's all about building community. And what I challenge everybody to do is actually expand beyond who you came with and meet somebody new, because we're all part of a community, and the point is to connect and grow, and we actually stand between you doing that, so we'll keep this short. My name is Lindsey Sichel Rubinstein. I'm a health, wealth, and legacy expert, family office executive, and a founder. 20 years of alternative investment experience in public and private markets. Most recently at a multi-billion-dollar family office that helped build the World Financial Center. Now in stealth mode for a company. I've also founded another company which I helped take public, rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. Very good thing to do. I welcome you all to do that. I have 2 daughters who you'll hear about throughout the course of the panel. They're a part of my legacy, as is my father and Eileen and my friends that are here. And when we think about community and legacy, I guess I'll jump into one theme I like to say, and I will ask everybody, who's seen the movie Fight Club? Okay. What's the first rule of Fight Club? What's the second rule of Fight Club? Don't. Okay. So one of my rules of the stealth mode company is never lose a meaningful relationship is rule 1. Rule 2 is rule 1. The currency, and I know we're kind of a mixture of investors, Bitcoin, art folks, but the currency, we all understand money, of relationships is one of the most important and understated currencies out there. Like, drop the mic, end of story. I'll say it again. The currency of relationships is one of the most understated and important currencies out there. So I'm excited to be here on this great panel, and welcome other questions.
And so now you know why I was super excited to be moderating this one. The pick of the litter. That's great. So it's interesting, Lindsey, you talked a little bit about, all of the things that you do. You've got the family office, you've been in wealth management, you've advising, you work with startups, you do it all. And we've all talked about AI and the innovation and healthcare space, but from your perspective, what do you think is one of the biggest trends in terms of investing right now in any space? It doesn't have to be healthcare, but just any space.
Loaded question.
It's definitely a loaded question.
So I don't like the word trends, I like to think about paradigm shifts. Trends are kind of ephemeral. They kind of go away. You know, like for a point what like Skybridge was doing with Bitcoin, that was trendy, right? So I would like to talk about what's going on in our industry, and generally we're in the Hamptons, but intergenerational transfer. So for a moment, and I want to think about what's behind legacy and community and what we're talking about. I want everybody to close their eyes if they're not chewing, and imagine themselves at the pinnacle of all wealth, which we don't have to imagine much because, like, look at where we are. I mean, I took a freaking Blade helicopter to get here after I dropped my daughter at sleepaway camp, and I'm about to go on to my friend's yacht charter. So, like, have your cake and eat it too. Have your Blade and beach it too, right? But so Scrooge McDuck at the pile of wealth, swimming in that pile of money. But like, what do we do from here, right? What is our obligation to build community, give back, and share? So let's take a minute and look at the statistics, okay? Show of hands, intergenerational transfer. What do you think the number is in terms of money changing hands generationally between now and, like, let's say 2048? Does anybody who doesn't know the answer want to take a guess? Who thinks like 100 billion? More? Okay. Who thinks like 20 trillion? Yeah? Okay. Okay. No, it's $124 trillion changing hands between now and 2048. That's a lot of money changing hands. Okay? Now, I'm going to mention a couple of other statistics. 46 trillion of that is going to surviving spouses, gray hair divorces, like 95% of which flows through to women, right? So changing demographics right there, older women. Another 50-something trillion is going to millennials and Gen Xers. So the demographics of who's controlling the money is changing. So just think about, like, a generation ago, 2 generations ago, it was like, and I hate to use stereotypes, and I don't use stereotypes, but I'm about to, like, old fat bald guys saying, like, here's your stocks, here's your bonds, and it was very spot on specific, right? And here I want to use, like, the intersection of health, wealth, and legacy as, like, a great metaphor for it, because it's integrated, but it's also a metaphor. When I was growing up, I would, like, hurt myself or have a sore throat, and Raj would take me to the doctor, or my mom would take me to the doctor reactively, right? Now healthcare, and we've heard great panelists talk about it, it's about longevity, it's about proactivity. I was in a car accident last August, had an MRI because I was, like, super injured, and the MRI picked up early thyroid cancer. It went from like 2% to 50% malignant unless I removed it surgically in like 3 weeks because of all of the testing being done, right? So there's this shift in healthcare from spot healthcare to health span, quality and longevity, right? So reactive to proactive. That same shift is happening in wealth management, right? From that spot on stock and bond to investing in a portfolio, to investing for a legacy. And I'm actually going to take it a step further. And I'm going to take a page out of my legacy. So we were, born into, I would say, a modicum of privilege. My father sold a company into the tech boom, and after that, helped found a company, WordLogic, was an earlier predictor of autocorrect. Now does some art stuff, which is cool to check out. But the point is, we were brought up with values and not valuables, and being smart and not small-minded. And I think a problem with the industry, as we're thinking about these demographic shifts right now, is when you go to your financial advisor, the first question you're asked, like, does anybody know what's the first question anybody's asked? It's what are your investment objectives, right? I think that's the wrong question. Now here I'm gonna quote from one of my favorite movies, which is The Godfather, and I see, like, my friends Mark and Lindsey sitting in the front row. They know that it's my cell phone ring because, one, nobody messes with you if they hear The Godfather ringing on your phone. It's also my favorite movie. But sorry. But sorry. Clemenza says, leave the gun, take the cannoli. Now, how does that have to do with anything that we're talking about here? But it has to do with what you value, right? So when you go to your investment advisor and they're asking you, what are your investment objectives? And we're going to put it into our proprietary and spit you out this, that's the wrong way to think about it. It's not building community. It's not building legacy. What we should be asking is, what is your value system?